Thank you. And the second one is called Growing Up with Ursula Le Guin. So some of you know I'm a huge fan of her work. So, wizard might have been my honest answer to the perennial question asked of children. What do you want to be when you grow up? Of course, I didn't say that because it wasn't considered realistic. Probably, I've always been with Ursula, who calls for poets, visionaries, the realists of a larger reality. Because what I was told was realistic, continuous inflation, economic inequality, gender stereotypes, and so much more, never made sense to me. Anyway, I'm not sure I would have fully known what I meant in saying wizard. I was deeply drawn to those stories of the chosen one who didn't quite fit in, and then turned out had magical abilities that could save the world. My natural desire to help others was tied up in my ego that wanted not just to help, but to be the very best. The year our school football team won the state championship, I was part of the crowd singing at full pelt along with Queen. We are the champions. No time for losers, because we are the champions of the world. I was sick of being told I was a loser for not fitting in. I wanted to be a winner. But I also wanted to live in a world of freedom and equality, a world of dignity and respect for life. I wanted to live in the real world, not the one my culture told me was realistic. This conflict between me and my cultural conditioning is easing now, with a lot of practice, patience, and compassion. What is the real world? Le Guin offers a possibility in her great book, 5 Ways to Forgiveness. What would that world be? A world without war. It would be the real world. Peace was the true life. The life of working and learning and bringing up children to work and learn. War, which devoured work, learning, and children, was the denial of reality. Perhaps dividing the world up into winners and losers too is the denial of reality. So, back to wizards. Eventually, I lost interest in the stories of the chosen one. But a mage who's remained with me is Ged, Le Guin's wizard of Earthsea. Ged isn't a typical hero, and Le Guin not a typical fantasy writer. In his arrogance, Ged denies much of himself, running to the ends of the earth until he is forced to face all that he is with compassion and honesty. After serving time as Archmage, he gives up all power and becomes a simple gardener and member of a quiet rural community. What made this transformation from the arrogant young man into a beloved member of community possible? Perhaps it was his wise teacher, Ogion. With your kind permission, I'd like to share a little snippet from A Wizard of Earthsea. You want to work spells, Ogion said presently, striding along. You've drawn too much water from that well. Wait. Manhood is patience. Mastery is 9 times patience. What is that herb by the path? Strawflower. And that? I don't know. Forefoil, they call it. Ogion had halted, the copper-shod foot of his staff near the little weed. So Ged looked closely at the plant and plucked a dry seed pod from it. And finally asked, since Ogion said nothing more, what is its use? None I know of. Ged kept the seed pod a while as they went on, then tossed it away. When you know the forefoil in all its seasons, root and leaf and flower, by sight and scent and seed, then you may learn its true name. knowing its being, which is more than its use. What, after all, is the use of you or of myself? Is Gaunt Mountain useful, or the open sea? Ogion went on half a mile or so and said at last, "To hear, one must be silent." I now find myself living on an archipelago, not unlike Earthsea, and feel at the age of 50 that I'm beginning to grow up in a way. Like Ged, I have fled from my own shadow, not wanting to see in myself the source of so much suffering that I see in the world, the desire for power, and the need to be right. Growing up, I was asked what I wanted to be. So of course, I wanted to be someone important. I became an activist, a man of action, a doctor of philosophy, what they used to call a man of letters, and then a yoga teacher, massage therapist, and healer. Then a yoga minister, what you could call a man of God, or if you prefer, a man of love. Each time I saw these as an achievement, becoming the kind of man that others would look up to. But why, I might ask, would I want others to look up to me? Perhaps because I have been looking down on myself from some inherited point of view of what a man should be. Well, I was never going to be that, any more than I was going to cast spells to change the weather or to turn myself into an owl. Because of this cultural confusion about manhood, I learned to look down on myself, to cut myself off from community, from nature, from life. I learned to cut myself off from the source of all magic, all love, all joy. I don't remember seeing a truly happy adult in my childhood. There's no one from my community I would have called joyous. Certainly no men. There were a few who could laugh with ease, but they were perhaps the rare exception to the rule. Working now with children in a small island community, gardening, practicing and sharing yoga and meditation, I find the possibility that I could maybe, just maybe, be a joyous man. And I notice something in me holds back. The Dene elder, Pat McCabe, also known as Woman Stands Shining, describes learning from another elder about why the colonizers saw the native people as childish. He wisely looked at the culture of the colonizers and saw that the men were told to grow up, that what men were told growing up meant was to leave behind singing and dancing, laughing and playing, communing directly with nature and with Creator. No wonder they saw native people as childish, for even the men were doing such seemingly childish things. I suspect that in no indigenous culture is a child ever asked what they want to be when they grow up. My people have long forgotten what it means to be indigenous, though my ancient European ancestors once knew what all people seem to know in our heart of hearts. We are one with nature, one with life. We are not here to try to be someone, but to celebrate life together, to embrace the changes that come, and to support each other through the challenges that are, perhaps, gifts in disguise to bring out that which is hidden within us. I believe that we are here to love ourselves, to love the earth and all our relations, human and otherwise, to love life just as it is. I'm deeply grateful to my teachers, including Ursula Le Guin, who dedicated her life to remembering. She was blessed to meet many Indigenous people in childhood because her father was an anthropologist who wanted to learn other ways of being. She was also inspired by the great Taoist sage Lao Tzu, who gives us a big clue about remembering who we really are. So the unwanting soul sees what's hidden, and the ever-wanting soul sees only what it wants. Raised in capitalism and patriarchy, I was taught only to want and to see myself as wanting, as lacking in some way, a failed man. Acts of creation and recreation, she reminds us, can be a way to bring healing and transformation, to undo healthy patterns. At a famous awards speech, she said, "We live in capitalism. Its power seems inescapable, but then so did the divine right of kings. Any human power can be resisted and changed by human beings. Resistance and change often begin in art, very often in our art, the art of words." And while Le Guin is now with us in spirit and in the living legacy of her writing, and all those her work has touched around the world, I'm also deeply grateful to my heart teacher, Padma, who is here with us today. Like Ogion, she is pointing to that place within which is silent, where it is possible to listen and to learn, as well as to unlearn. Yoga, too, is an indigenous tradition that can help us undo the habits of trying to be someone and help us all enjoy the wondrous experience of continually becoming without ever wanting or needing to arrive anywhere. As Le Guin wrote in A Wizard of Earthsea, on a theme she returned to throughout all her work, "It is good to have an end to journey toward, but it is the journey that matters in the end." Thank you all for being part of this great journey of life. And thank you all for teaching me so much about how to really live.